concussion yesterday that I think we need to go back and discuss a little bit.
Okay, so that's one.
I'm still trying to figure out what the answer to it is. Well, we haven't started the show yet. I haven't read the log line.
I don't know. I feel like
now there's rules.
Yeah.
I
haven't read the log line. I haven't read the log line.
But like the show's on.
Yeah.
So like the show started.
Ask the question.
The over-under 3.5.
Ask the question.
Do you want? Hold on. Here, we'll make up for it.
This is screaming dragon.
There
All
you
right,
go.
back to even. Go ahead.
No, we're still one. But anyways.
No, we're not.
Does a straw have 1 or 2 holes?
Oh yes, you were talking about this yesterday.
See, my thing is it has 2 openings. Okay, so what are we defining? Are we defining?
I'm on it.
The hole as like what's going through the straw? Because there's only one of those. There's 2 openings, but there's 1 hole. Like if I'm going to dig to the other side of the world,
he's right.
Like that's an opening to the hole.
Here's the definition of a hole: an opening through something. There's one open. There's one hole. There's one hole, but 2 openings.
How I didn't get into MIT continues to amaze me.
Did you try?
Well, I showed up there.
You did?
They didn't let me in though.
I feel like they missed out.
I was wearing like a lab coat and I tried to look like a scientist.
Can't trust them.
You can't trust them.
MIT.
You're that good at math, I don't trust you.
You're better
can't
off.
trust it.
You're better off.
I think
Think about it. You go to MIT, you start building rockets, doing all this stuff. You never meet us. You never meet me. You become estranged from your brother.
Yeah.
And you're not here today.
Yeah. Well, again, those guys at MIT, it's like they said in Talladega Nights. You remember when they used to call us stupid for playing with those toy cars in 6th grade? Yeah. Well, who's an idiot now?
MIT.
Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa was carted off the field. We break down whether he should have played last night. We give you our keys to victory in some big games coming up this weekend. And former Gator and SEC Network analyst Chris Doering joins us to preview the weekend of college football. I'm Jake Crane. It's Flamin' Dragon Friday. Welcome to Crane & Company. Somebody get excited. Football is a violent and physical sport. Everyone who signs up to play it understands that. The big collisions and bone-crushing hits are a couple of the main reasons the sport is so popular. But every now and then, we are reminded how dangerous this game can actually be. And last night, watching Tua's head slam into the ground and seeing the fencing response, which signals there's something wrong neurologically, was a stark reminder. Now, before I go any further, I want to say we're all hoping Tua's fine and will be able to come back soon. But I have some questions. 1, after watching Tua get hit last week against the Bills, stand up, stumble, and look confused like he didn't know where he was at, how was he able to come back not only in that game, but be ready 5 days later? I'm not a doctor, nor did I stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but I've seen enough football to know that he did not look right. Now, I know the concussion area is one the NFL takes very seriously. But anyone who watched that clip of Tua getting hit by the Bills is probably questioning the same thing I am. Second, we all face the point in our careers where we ask, do we need to hang it up or is this enough? We all love the game so much, but there is a final chapter to every athletic story. And if you read Tua's injury history mixed with the last 2 weeks, it has to be something Tua's at least considering. He hasn't just gotten hurt, he's endured some devastating injuries. It's basically a remix to the song Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes, but add hips and ankles and other things. The long-term health of a person who plays such a violent game has come under a microscope, and we learn more every day. Tua is smart enough to know that, and is it worth risking your ability to remember things, people, or the moments you had on the gridiron? Is it worth being able to throw the ball around with your kids and pick them up, or just be there in general? The answer is always yes. I won't pretend to know what Tua is thinking. I do know there is an NFLPA investigation ongoing about him playing in this game, and we do need answers. If mistakes were made, then there needs to be accountability. But it may be time for Tua, a national champion, an NFL starter, and an all-around great human being, to start thinking about the next chapter of his life. I love this game as much as I ever have, and I'll be there watching every snap tonight with bated breath. But there are things in life that are more important than a game, and sometimes we get reminded of that. I don't know what Tua will decide. I'm not sure what will come from the investigation into whether or not he should have been playing, But I do know this. We're definitely praying for you, Tua, and I know you'll make the best choice for you and your family. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my co-host, David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback, and Flaming Dragon. That's who this is.
Hold on.
That's what I'm going to call him the whole time. I will not use his other name.
You already got one on the board.
No.
The over-under is 3.5 on the day, boys. It's 3.5.
Well, I'm just not going to talk to you the whole show. I want to win that
What's
bad.
new?
That's what
I want to win
that bad.
New.
I want to win that bad.
Man, that was one of your best opens right there.
I appreciate
Maybe my
that.
second favorite one.
Okay, what was your first? Do you remember?
When you talked about your dad.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be tough to beat that.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to beat that one. And again, you know, the instant reaction when you watch Tua last night is you cringe at that. You see him get slammed and you see the head hit back.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually talked about on the show yesterday the fencing position, are seeing those arms go up like this. It's a neurological response to damage. You heard the doctor say that. Let's play this clip from last night. You can see Tua back get slammed, then head get slammed. Let's go ahead and play the clip.
Nobody's open, Joe. He's going to be sacked back in his own territory.
You can see the violence of the slam. Now watch his arms here. Well, they come up to his chest. You had to cart him off the field. I'll say this. That's not a dirty hit to me.
That's what I was about to get.
You sacked the quarterback. That's
what I was
your
about to
job, too. It's not like you picked him up.
No.
You didn't pick him up and look at the crowd and they give you a thumbs up or thumb down and you broke him over your knee like it's Mortal Kombat.
It's a football play.
It's a football play. But, Cone, you played the position. You've watched a ton of football like I have. When you watched him get up after that hit from the Bills, something's not right. That's not a back injury to me.
Yeah.
It's not an ankle injury to me. Those are, you get up and you're already hobbling. He walked 5 yards, basically fell down, got up, and you could see him. It looked like he didn't know where he was. Now, I've hurt my ankle as bad as anything, but I've never hurt my ankle and been like, where am I? That's not how that works. Let's run this clip against the Bills, too, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Go ahead and roll through it.
And Tagovailoa suffered some type of an injury.
Watch him here. Going to get pushed back hits, head hits. Look at the arms kind of go up a little bit. Now, look at this. Look at him shaking his head like that. Now he collapses. That's not an ankle injury, man. Like, you can say, I don't care if you're a Dolphins fan or not. Look at, where's the trainer going to look at? He's not looking at his foot. He's looking him in the eyes to see how cognizant he is of what's going on. And here's the thing, Cone. I'm not even blaming the Dolphins.
No, because the NFL has taken over.
The NFL said, we'll take care of it. We'll bring in all our scientists and get the doctors from Jurassic Park to come in here and figure it out. Well, I'm just wondering, and I know they have to cover their own butt, and they're going to take every precaution with what we've seen with CTE and some of the events that have gone on. You look at Junior Seau and other guys like that. But how did that guy pass protocol?
Yeah, so I wrote down 3 things here after seeing this, many of which you touched on. One, the hit from last night was not completely abnormal. You see a sack like that almost once a game. That's how you know that there was something previously affecting that. And when you see him hobbling 4 days ago, I think that plays into that. And you look, it's 4 days rest, a Thursday night primetime game. I know the NFL wants their stars to play, especially when it's a primetime game, but I think someone will be held accountable for this. As far as like the fencing position of the hands when he was down, I haven't really seen that in football. You see it in fighting, boxing, UFC.
Who was the running back from Cal that could absolutely fly? He played
Javad Best.
Javad Best. Go watch when Javad Best takes off one time.
The arms lock out.
Yeah, like the arms go out like this.
That is, but the fingers, I had.
Yeah, no, the fingers. That was
fingers
different.
was different from.
That's when I started to really get, because that you know, the arms up like Javad Best. That's exactly what it was. Who he went. Go to YouTube and look up Javad Best flying over the goal line, hitting his, and those arms, they come straight like this. We used to call them arms to, you know, hands to the skies, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's when I worry about his long-term health, when I see stuff like that. So, one, I think someone will be held accountable, but my second point was, 2, it's not that long ago that we wouldn't have even been discussing the league or the medical staff today, right? And you don't have to go back as far as when your father played or when my father-in-law played. Just go back to when we played. This hit happened, we would have just been coming coming in the next day talking about Tua, and he's injury prone, and I don't think that, he's long for the NFL. So I think the NFL has done better in terms of concussion protocol, because we're coming in now saying, you know what, they should have stepped in. They have stepped in over in the years past, and they let this one slide, and it's unacceptable, and someone will be held accountable. So I think that there has been developments there. And then the third point I had, which you touched on, I do think, unfortunately, Tua's best football days are behind him. I think that, and I hate it, and I hope that I'm wrong, because I've spent some time around the kid. I think that he's, one of the greatest college quarterbacks I've ever seen, the best slant ball thrower I've ever seen. But we asked all offseason, what could the Dolphins be and what could Tua do with all these weapons if, and it was always if he can stay healthy. And so this isn't an anomaly. It's not like he got hit yesterday, had the fencing mechanism, neurological effects, and had no previous history of injury. He has something all the time, like what Jake talked about. So I'm not saying he won't come back from this. I'm hoping that he will. I'm not even saying he won't have another 400-yard passing game. I just don't know if he'll play a complete season in the NFL. So I think Tua's best football days may be behind him. But as a person, I know his best days as a person are still ahead of him.
Yeah, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
You want to be able to have a long and healthy life. I mean, look, my dad played 4 years in the NFL, and he could barely get out of bed some mornings. Yep. So, and I know it was a little bit different back then, but, he also didn't play with a mouthpiece most of the time. So, but again, it is what it is. I want to quote Chris Nowinski, who's a neuroscientist. He's the CEO for Concussion LF. This guy knows what he's talking about. Before the game, if Tua takes the field tonight, it's a massive step back for #concussion care in the NFL. If he has a second concussion that destroys his season or career, everyone involved will be sued and should lose their jobs, coaches included. We all saw it. Even they must know this isn't right. Now, look, do I agree that everybody, should be fired, can, whatever, anything like that? I don't know. I need to see what goes on in the investigation. But it just leads me to believe, they say don't trust your lying eyes. I'm saying, one, a back issue. I've seen back issues, seen ankle issues, seen magazine issues. That was a head injury. That was a guy stumbling around that really probably didn't know where he was at. And there's stories of that go on and go on and go on. It looked about as bad as I've seen it last night.
Yeah, I don't need to be a doctor to know that Tua got a concussion against the Bills.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. You can barely be a football fan and know Tua got a concussion.
They got the same doctor.
There is no way this man should have been on the field in this game. How did he get through concussion protocol? How? Even if he somewhat did good, when a UFC fighter gets knocked out, he's done for 3 months.
Yeah.
And that's getting knocked out with a fist. Someone's going to get sued for this. I don't know who. I'm not a lawyer, but someone will get sued for this. He should have never been on the field in the first place. He baby horsed it. There's certain level of concussions. I've had a concussion before, got up and played the rest of the game. As a football player, the thing that scares you the most is not being able to play again.
That's
what scares you the most. That's why when certain things happen to you, you lie and you don't tell anybody. But it gets to a certain point where when you're on national television, you're on the NFL, and everyone can see it. There's no hiding this, right? What scares me is he got away with this blatantly and played on a short week the next week. How did no one step in?
Yeah.
How did this man, with all the technology we have, with all the science, all the scientists, all the neurologists, whatever they're called, how did this man get on the field for the next week? Even if he said, I'm not concussed. Guys, I'm not concussed. Coach, trainer, I'm not concussed. Sooner or later, someone has to step in and get him out of the way of himself.
Yeah, you can't put it on the player, because think about it. These guys have been working their whole lives to get to this moment, and you're the starting quarterback for the Dolphins. Not only that, you're undefeated. You're looking around saying, all right, I've had a career where I've had injuries. It looks like I'm actually somewhat at a place that's stable. It's working well with my head coach, Mike McDaniel. We've got weapons, Waddle, Tua, those guys outside. These are the ultimate competitors. You cannot let the player make the decision, or you cannot be influenced by the player. I try to give most people the benefit of the doubt. And I try not to look at everything from a nefarious lens or look at everything from a conspiratorial lens. But when I look at that, I'm just really trying to find a way in which you could look at Tua and be like, you know what, he's fine in today's world.
He didn't get away with
20
it.
years ago,
He didn't get away
got
with that
up.
in high school.
yeah, it would have got up, nobody would have said a word.
You definitely can't put it on the player. You can't even put it on the head coach.
No, he's
right?
not a
They're involved
doctor.
in the game plan. You have to put it on the medical staff. And now, even in the NFL, they're not even putting it on the team's medical staff. That's why I was so quick not to criticize Miami's medical staff, because the NFL is saying, you know what, we're going to take over.
Yeah.
We're going to decide concussion protocol. So not only is it not on the player, it's certainly not on the head coach. They're involved in the game plan. It's really the team's medical staffs are almost not even involved at this point.
Well, I'm starting to really wonder how much we can trust medical staffs in sports. These are the same people that said, you have to get this injection, you have to do this to be able to play. I'm really wondering, are we starting to lose, because everything's getting so politicized, do we need to start losing faith in the medical people associated with professional sports?
That's a good question. I wonder if it just let's say, for instance, I'm not sure how it works. Maybe we should get someone on for an interview, but if the Miami Dolphins medical staff, for instance, like the chief medical officer there says, you know what, this Tua can't play in this situation. He's concussed, can't be ready for Thursday Night Football. But the NFL representative says, no, I'm not seeing that in my concussion protocol. If there's a discrepancy, if it always errs on the side of caution, or if it just takes one.
Well, it should always err on the side
Right,
of caution.
I guess. And then, I was listening to Colin Cowherd say that anytime a player gets up and wobbles at all in an NFL game, that they should sit out the next week, almost like a wobble rule. And, I'm hesitant, because I think, at the end of the day, it is still football, right? Everybody's hurt. Right, like you're more banged up now. This is the healthiest you'll be for the rest of the season, every single player. And so I'm wondering, that hit we saw Tua take where he started wobbling was clearly something's wrong neurologically with you.
Yeah.
How far do we want to go in terms of saying, you know what, you're not 100%, so you can't play? There'd be no players left. to play.
Yeah. I think anytime you're dealing with a head injury, and I think you'll agree with me, it's a little bit different. I think you have to take it on a case-by-case basis. I don't think you can generalize it. I don't think you can say, well, if he makes one move like this, we automatically got to take him out or leave him in. I think that's too generic. I don't think that solves the problem. I think you got to take it by case-by-case, circumstantial basis, because every player's injury history is different. Every player's susceptibility to certain things, or things that they've had in their past, or things that have been bothering them, are a little bit different most of the time. So a blanket rule to me, I think is overreach, is kind of going too far. But I do want to see, what was the communication mechanism on this? Who did talk to who? Ultimately, if the final decision is made with the NFL, then the accountability needs to be with the NFL. But asking the NFL to have accountability for anything is like asking a giraffe to be short.
Well, they scream player safety this, player safety that, player safety matters the most. Didn't in this occasion.
Well, let me ask you this, Blaine. You have 2 primetime games. Last 2 primetime games have been duds. 11-10, you've had ugly games. Do you think at all there was any inkling saying, hey, Tua, Waddle, Jalen,
that was my
explosive
question.
offense, Joe Burrow, the Dolphins are beat up on defense. We need to have a high-scoring, thrilling game.
That's what I was
And I don't
asking.
want to, like I said, I don't want to be conspiratorial, but there are some dots that kind of line up if you look.
I mean, had it been a Sunday game, even with
12
more time to
o'clock?
rest, 3 more days to rest, they may have not allowed him to play.
That's my thing. Booster Club, Flaming Dragon.
All right, let's go to some donations.
Whoa, we got donos already.
Padeo's
It's not even
dono.
7 o'clock here.
Kill a drone, $10 dono. He says, when a fighter, okay, a little UFC. When a fighter is KO'd in the UFC, okay, excuse me, I said this wrong. I said 3 months. There's a 6-month
Wow.
medical suspension. How does the UFC have better concussion protocols than the NFL?
Wait,
That's
so
a
UFC
great
fight,
question.
If they're knocked out, knocked out,
6 months.
you can't fight or
Yeah,
train or do
6
anything for
months,
6 months. Wow.
One of the many reasons why Dana White keeps kicking every other commissioner's ass that's ever been.
All right, let's go to Alicia's Action Figure Frenzy.
Nice.
$5 donation.
Whoa.
All right, she says, first time in the chat. Alicia, welcome. Have been watching for Daily Wire on Daily Wire Plus for a couple weeks. And she says, Cone, go Buckeyes.
No,
Okay, welcome to the chat. We're all
welcome,
friends here.
Welcome.
Calm down.
We're in the trust tree.
Yeah.
We're in the trust tree.
God, I miss you in that Ohio State jersey.
I know, you looked so good.
So good. All right, let's
That
go
was,
back.
maybe you
Killer
didn't get
Drone,
the
another
memo.
$10 donation. Just love it, Killer. He says,
Wow.
also, the UFC has third parties such as the Nevada State Athletic Commission who issues a suspension. I'd assume the NFL doesn't have that kind of oversight.
No, they just got the mob.
That's interesting.
That's
point,
their
yeah.
third party.
All right, let me go to Colleen Houston. Colleen, what is up? She said, how did his wife let him step on the field? She saw him for the last week after that hit. She says that's insanity. Can the wife say anything really to kind of?
Yeah, well, she can say anything. She can say something to Tua, but again, I think when you put it on the player, because look, that's their source of income, right? That's what he has chosen to do with his life, and when you make it that far in this sport, you do for a reason. It's not just the physical attributes; it's the mental as well. So I think it would be much harder to talk Tua out of playing than it would be for the NFL to look at the concussion thing and look at the video and look at the protocol and say he doesn't need to play. So I think you can lay blame in a couple places. I would be a little bit wary when it comes down to the player and the player's family. I think you can still want what's best for the player, try and talk the player out of it. I think Tua would obviously listen to his wife, but I want to make sure that the accountability and the blame goes where it needs to be.
All right, let's go to Peter's ear removal service. What's up, Peter?
Nice. I got a problem here in my right one if you just want to snip this thing off.
He said he should have taken at least 2 weeks off just to be safe. I bet he was trying to play, though. If the players won't cooperate, it's hard to tell what's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you have we say that the players won't cooperate, but you have mandatory physicals. You have to go into the training room. It's part of it. It's tough to hide that in today's NFL if the NFL is actually really looking for it. I don't think the problem was Tua not cooperating. I think the problem, if there is one, was something else and a little bit deeper and a little bit darker, to be honest with you.
All right, Jordan Kilgo, a $4.99 donation.
$4.
Says the NFL is a joke. Says, give me the USFL all day and go Stallions.
Go Stallions,
Hey, champions, Alabama. It's football. It's what we do.
All right, let's go to Travis Elrod. What's up, Travi? Hashtag Ask Cranico. Are NFL players allowed to use their own doctors to assess their status?
I think you can have a personal doctor outside. You can always go seek a second opinion, third opinion, but you do have to see the team doctor. You have to go through the regimen because it's a liability thing. You're an employee. You're an employee of an organization, so you have, and it's an athletic organization, obviously. So the protocol with doctors is a little bit different outside of, let's say, the health insurance that I get from the Daily Wire.
Yeah.
That's a totally different thing. One more, Flaming Dragon.
All right, let's go to, I want to go to the Daily Wire chat. Let's see what we got in here. Let's go to Binks McGinks. I think at this point they need someone independent from the team to conduct concussion protocol. The team doctors and coaches have too much incentive to let players play through it. I mean, he might be wrong.
Yeah, again, any third party that can come in that's non-biased, whether it's a special counsel, one that actually is really trying to find answers, not just some,
But any third party would still be any third party would still be funded by the NFL. Someone has to pay them. That's why the Nevada Boxing Commission was interesting, because I think that is completely separate from the brand of UFC, right? So if you're paying, like, the NFL would have to pay a third party who then reports to them. It just opens up. It's sort of like the thing with Facebook with fact checking is like, well, we have outsourced our fact checking, or even what the NFL did with the Deshaun Watson. Mm-hmm. We have completely outsourced this, but
it's not on us.
We pay for it.
I mean, you see universities when they're hiring football coaches. They're like, we just hired Johnson in Washington.
The think tank.
Find our next,
old think tank.
They're like, they came back and they said we should hire Nick Saban.
They're great third down conversion.
These guys are geniuses. Okay, let's move on. We're going to get back to the Booster Club. What do you want? You want to go into little keys to victory?
Yeah, I do want to go to keys to victory, but just a quick thought on the game from last night. Because the Bengals did win a good football game. They played well at home. Joe Burrow followed your keys to victory. He was getting the ball out so fast, it was like he was looking at his check down first.
That man's first read was a check down last night.
But they won a great game for a team that was kind of struggling early, even though some of those losses were in overtime. So are the Bengals headed in the right direction? What do you think about this game apart from Tua's injury?
Look, was it the most thrilling, exciting game that we've seen? No. I still have a lot of questions about the offensive line for the Bengals, and not just for pass protection. Joe Burrow was getting the ball out quickly last night. We can talk about the check down. We can talk about the quick game, slants, hitches. You saw them getting the ball to the tight end quickly in the game last night, early in the game. Hayden Hurst, pretty good game. Friend of Blaine over there. Friend of Flaming Dragon. That's two. All right, won't do it again.
What is the over-under?
3.5.
All right, won't do it again. Won't do it again.
Last week. It just keeps going up.
Won't do it again.
Playing a lot of Pac-12 teams.
But they struggle to run the ball, too. I mean, it's not exactly Camp Green Lake with the holes that are getting opened up front for Joe Mixon to run through. He was 9 yards away from me hitting my parlay last night, so I'd like to extend a.
And you got the hard part. You got the touchdown, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jamar Chase had 81 yards.
81. He hit that by 1, and Mixon got the touchdown.
Yeah.
He missed it by 9 yards.
I sat here on the show yesterday. You want to know why? I'll get back to the Bengals Dolphins things. You know why you need to trust your instincts? I sat here right on the show yesterday and said, man, I am really close to taking Joe Mixon first touchdown scorer.
I thought you took it.
No. Plus 600. Unforgivable. I should be shamed. Shame me in the chat. Shame me in the chat and in the comments. Shame the hell out of me. I'm here for it. That's why you go with your good. That's why you trust the birds. Yesterday I saw 2 turkeys just walking around. They must realize it's getting close to November. You better start going north, bud.
Yeah.
And they looked at me for a second, got a really good vibe, so I took the South Carolina State over at 57. Final score, 50-10. That's 3-0 when you trust the bird signs. Never trust squirrels, never trust turtles. I'm done with them. I'm absolutely done with them. I see a turtle on the road. I don't see a turtle on the road. I see a turtle on the road. You better figure out a way to get off them. I'm not stopping anymore getting you guys off after what you guys did to me with Maryland, Michigan. But I'm trusting the birds. But back to the Bengals, which is not a bird. It's a land animal. It's a tiger, in case you didn't know that. Both y'all. The Icy Whites look really clean last night. Let me go and get that out of the way. It's crispy.
And the Miami Teals, greatest jersey combination I can remember, for sure.
It was really nice. By the way, Reed got me a powder blue pullover. She brought.
You remember the Color Rush jerseys?
The what?
Color Rush?
Yeah, they're pretty good. They were pretty good. They did look like USFL jerseys.
A couple of them were super sweet.
They had a little Road to Glory flavor.
Yeah,
to
for
them.
sure.
But the Bengals' offensive line is going to continue to be a problem. If they can't run the ball and have more success, offensively, that performance is not going to cut it against the teams they need to beat to do what they did last year or have a chance to get back to where they were last year. Joe Burrow getting the ball out quickly is great, but they don't have a ton of balance on offense. T. Higgins looked phenomenal last night. Jamar Chase, I still feel like they got to find a way to get him the ball more. I know they were bracketing him a decent amount last night. Tyler Boyd didn't have a huge night, but the Bengals are not balanced offensively, and they're not as explosive as they were last year. You're not seeing these 60-yard rip-off because people know who Jamar Chase is. People know the combination of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase is deathly. It's cyanide. It's the pill. You caught me, I'm a spy, I'm dead.
Blaine, what do you think of Teddy Two Gloves Bridgewater?
I thought Teddy Two Gloves came and did his thing. Teddy's always going to back up. Teddy was a really good player until he had that injury. And then it kind of went a little bit downhill from there. So, obviously the Dolphins' outlook is different now, right? I mean, with Tua not back there, it's just not the same. You kind of saw that with Tyreek in his facial expressions, especially in that second half. He was getting a little upset that Tua wasn't delivering the ball. The Teddy's back there, a completely different quarterback, completely different type of thrower. But I do think Teddy will do a good enough job, depending on Tua's timetable on returning, if he does decide to return, to maybe keep them in contention to get them where they need to go. But the big things for me last night was, and I know they didn't run the ball great, but they did give it to Joe Mixon a lot.
They tried. They tried.
It was even more frustrating on the yardage.
That's exactly
I think he only averaged like 2.4.
Yeah, 24 carries or something.
24, 25 carries. Averaged like 2.4 yards a carry, which is not great, but they are trying to get him the ball. But the biggest thing was me, 0 turnovers.
Yeah.
All right, 0 turnovers, and that was big for Joey B. He's been throwing a lot of
And 1 sack.
Yeah, 1 sack. He's been throwing a lot of picks and making mistakes that we don't usually see him make. So you could tell that he's like, you know what? I guess he talked to the offense coordinator. He's like, I'm getting this ball out as quick as I can.
You could
and
see
it was boom, boom, check down, boom, boom, check
there was even one that the pre-snap read I thought was 2-man. Post-snap, it immediately goes to cover 2. He has the circus route to the field, right? And he goes all the way to the check down immediately.
Tell people what a circus route is.
So wide receiver number 1 to the field. 5-yard in, you move up, and it's basically a smash concept, except you don't have a hitch by number 1, essentially. So call it a corner route if you like. Call it a corner route if you want. Against cover 2, it's an awesome beater, right? He looks that way. So he opens that way to the field, looks at it, has it, post-snap read, cover 2, not 2-man, and he still goes to Joe Mixon on the check down. Picked up the first down, though. Picked up on 3rd and 1, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and criticize you for not banging the circus route because I've been saying you're not getting the ball out of your hand quick enough. So 1 sack, no turnovers. Maybe they're trending in the right direction.
Yeah, again, I just think it's going to come down to that run game because you're going to have to score more than 23 points, whatever it was, 26 points to be able to win some of these games. And they had that touchdown late.
Yeah, I know Dolphins were a little bit beat up on defense, but this is a good defensive football team. I mean, up front, Howard played the cornerback. I know he came out a little bit in the second quarter. He has hamstring stuff. But this is the same team that just beat the Bills. Gave up 20, points to the Bills. 19 points to the Bills. So this isn't just a bunch of bums on defense pulling up for the Dolphins. This is a good quality Dolphins defense. So I felt like, if anything, you look for some positive for the Bengals. Sacked one time, no turnovers. And I know you didn't run it great, but you ran it enough to where they had to honor it. And it kind of somewhat opened up a little bit.
They were gassed, too.
Yeah.
90 snaps. 90 snaps that Miami defense took against the Bills in the heat of South Florida. So they were tired 4 days later.
That's exactly right. All right,
anyway, keys to victory. 5 top 25 matchups in college football this weekend. I want keys to victory from all of them. Let's start with number 5, Clemson, hosting number 10, NC State.
All right, I'll start with Clemson. Can DJU recreate what he did against Wake? And we talk about keys to the game. You talk about run game. You talk about stopping the run. About making adjustments at halftime. But as an all-around performance, because this defense you're about to see at NC State, whether it's the front 7 or the back end's very talented. Those windows that were open against Wake Forest, a lot of those matchups that you just had a better player than Wake Forest had, and whether it's a tight end on a linebacker or outside or something like that, those opportunities are going to shrink, which means the margin for error shrinks, which means that DJ is going to have to continue to put the ball in almost the perfect place and be able to throw to windows that are even tighter. But now you can't get bailed out as much by just having better players than they have outside. Now that 70-30 ball against Wake Forest turns into a 50-50 ball. But the biggest thing is decision-making. I don't think, and I know that Wake Forest, scored a lot of points against Clemson. I don't think NC State's going to be able to move the ball like that on Clemson. I'm forgetting what the weather forecast is, but even if it was sunny and beautiful, I don't see them being able to operate at the rate that Wake Forest did against Clemson offensively. Devin Leary's a good player. We haven't seen a ton of explosion. They lost a big-time receiver last year who was kind of their fixer. Got a couple good backs, got a few weapons on the outside, but nothing that I look at and say, oh, man, they're going to give up 35 points to NC State, talking about Clemson. So DJU cannot make mistakes that gives NC State scoring opportunities, even if it's a turnover that results in a field goal. Because I think this is going to be a touchdown 7 to 10 point game somewhere in there. And it's going to be decided, like it always is, by 3 to 5 plays, handful of plays, however you want to look at it. DJU cannot put the ball in harm's way and turn the ball over. If we see old DJU where the clock's messed up, where his timing looks wrong, where he's just missing guys high over the middle, which leads to interceptions, inside on the outside, which leads to pick sixes and making bad decisions, NC State can hang around counting crows style long enough to win this game. Now, on the NC State side, you have got to find a way. I don't care if it's using Devin Leary's legs. I don't care if it's running a couple trick plays to find some explosive results on the offensive side. You're not going to be able to line up and run it down Clemson's throat. You're not going to be able to get in 3rd and 6 and 3rd and 7 and 3rd and 8 in predictable passing downs and pick these guys apart when they can pin their ears back. You have got to find a way. You effective screen game, good hard count. Give yourself free play opportunities. When you get in the red zone and the field shrinks, how are you going to be able to move the ball? One great way, move the launch point. Get Devin Leary moving. Give him run-pass options. Run some quarterback design runs. Playing against Clemson defensively is like playing against Bryce Young offensively. You have to mix up the looks to keep them off balance. The minute they have you pegged is the minute you're dead. So those are 2 keys to me for Clemson.
Okay. Weather report for Clemson, 24% chance of rain during the day. This is a night game. 15% chance of rain, 5-mile-an-hour winds.
Nothing crazy.
Nothing crazy.
Nothing too crazy. Okay, let's go to number 2, Bama at 20, Arkansas.
For Alabama, I highly doubt that Alabama's going to play as bad as what they did on the road at Texas. The big key for Bama, in my opinion, outside of the receivers playing well, is limiting the penalties. Because a lot of their drives stalled out, not just because the receivers weren't on the same page with Bryce, not just because the offensive line was struggling against the different looks that Gary Patterson was getting, but you were in 2nd and 20. You were in 3rd and 15. You were in 1st and 15. If Alabama plays a clean game, don't have a lot of turnovers and not a lot of penalties, they're better than Arkansas. I think gravity will take effect and they'll end up winning in the end. I took on the sharp on the alternate line, I took Arkansas plus 21 at minus 175, which I feel
love
fantastic
that pick.
about. But when I look at Alabama, a clean game from Alabama is a win. because talent over time equals wins
Yep.
and positive results. But if they go out and they play sloppy, and Bryce is holding on to the ball too long, and they're getting false start penalties, and they're getting holding penalties because Barry Odom's mixing it up on the pass rush from Arkansas, this game could get really weird at the end, and the longer Arkansas hangs around this game in Fayetteville, the higher probability they have of actually being able to pull this thing off. But I don't think Arkansas can do it without help from Alabama. So the key for Alabama, don't help them. Don't help them. No stupid penalties, no hits after the play, no roughing the passer, no multiple defensive pass interference, which we've seen a lot from guys like Kool-Aid McKinstry and guys in that back end. So that's it for Bama. For Arkansas, you have got to be a bend but don't break defense. Alabama is going to move the ball. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be effective running the ball and catching the ball out of the backfield. I believe JoJo Earl, one of their most experienced wide receivers, is coming back. I know Latu's been beat up, but the battle of tight ends in this game between Knox and Latu is going to be a hell of a matchup. But if you're Arkansas, when it gets into that red zone, Will Reichert has to kick field goals. That's the only way you're going to stay in this game. Because the way Arkansas operates, even though I love Kendall Briles and what he has, I still don't think, even with Hazelwood outside, I love Rocket Sanders at running back. I've been huge on that kid since he came out of high school. I don't think Arkansas can score with Bama when Bama is cooking. So what does that mean? You've got to give up 3 points when you get in the red zone and the field shrinks. And you notice there's a common theme with these red zone. Why? There's two reasons coordinators get paid on both sides of the ball. Offensive coordinators get paid to convert on third down and score touchdowns in the red zone. Defensive coordinators get paid to hold you on third down and hold you to field goals in the red zone. This game, when you go back and look at it, while stats are only a preview and they don't tell you the whole story, red zone touchdown percentage, to me, is going to be the biggest stat in this game. Because I don't see a ton of explosive plays. Even though Arkansas secondary has been weak and they're beat up with Catalan being out, I think they're down a corner this game. I still don't think Barry Odom is going to just line up in man and say, all right, we'll just go one-on-one down the field with you and see if we can guard you. Alabama's still got really, really good players. So red zone touchdown percentage, to me, is going to be the biggest key in this.
Okay, Blaine, is that line 17 and a half?
17 and a half.
17 and a half. Jake got it at 21 and a half. 21. That seems like a lot of points, man.
Well, I just don't know how this matchup favors Arkansas at all. Your
Then
secondary is terrible.
Can't get murdered.
Like, your secondary is terrible. Arkansas, you're beat up. I mean, you had some guy who looked like me out there playing against Texas A&M. His name was like Craig Johnson. I was like, oh, God.
Hey, he can hit.
I don't know how this is going to work.
You put respect on Craig's name.
Like, if I'm Bama, what am I doing? I'm stopping the run. I'm stopping KJ with his feet. I'm stopping Rocket Sanders. KJ beat me through the air. We'll see. I'll laugh my way home to a 30-point win. I mean, if you're Arkansas, what are you going to sit in coverage and get destroyed? You're going to have to come get them.
You're going to have to mix it up. See, that's the thing. You can't do one thing.
I agree with him.
That's like you can't. Again, it's like, you know, in a relationship, like I can't just be the same all the time.
I just you're not going to confuse Bryce Young.
Well, people
Texas
have proven to be able to get to Bryce Young. So you have to go get him. I do agree with you, but you have to pick your spot. So it's like I think what you were saying is bend but don't break, especially in the red zone. Hold to field goals. But in the middle of the field, or even when you're in plus territory, go after Tua because people have been able to get to him.
Yeah, well, look, with Bryce, Gary Patterson did such a good job. They were showing multiple things, multiple looks. You were getting different looks up front. They were showing pressure backing off. They weren't showing pressure and bringing zone pressures. They were showing pressure and bringing pressure. And then when they did bring pressure, I've said pressure 9 times in the last 15 seconds, but when they did bring it, they were bringing it from everywhere. And they were manipulating the looks, but they were doing different things out of the same looks. See, that's what gets you, in my opinion. As a defense guy calling plays, I thought it was more effective to line up very similarly and be able to do multiple things out of it than to line up in a bunch of different things and do simple things out of it, if that makes sense. Because you're adjusting, you're turning it into a moving target somewhat out of the same position. Texas confused Bryce Young. Gary Patterson and that defensive staff did an unbelievable job of mixing not only coverages, not only blitzes, not only looks, but doing different things out of the same look. And when you do that, that's why it looked like Bryce was like kind of freaking out when he was getting that internal pressure because he didn't expect it. And if you want to frazzle a quarterback, outside pressure is one thing. Inside pressure, in your face, it's like in a car. You get hit from the side, that's one thing. You get T-bone, that's one thing. You go straight up with somebody in a car, that's a totally different thing. So, again, I think they've got to mix it up.
Okay. Number 9, Oklahoma State at number 16, Baylor.
Look, you talk about UFC. This is just going to be an old-fashioned, let's go out back outside the bar in the back, and I'm going to whip your ass. That's what this is going to be.
Which one?
I like Baylor in this game. I do think, and look, I know Oklahoma State is very veteran up front. We have a great conversation with Mike Golick Jr. for a Saturday special. Make sure you're liked and subscribed for that. But I feel like Baylor's a little more battle-tested this year because it is a new year and a new team. I do like Spencer Sanders, but I feel like Blake Shapen and that offense, they're going to be able to score just enough points. It's going to be physical. This is going to be a brawl. It's probably going to come down to a field goal, but I like a battle-tested Baylor at home against Oklahoma State. Again, I think this may just default to who's at home, who gets that extra 3 to 7 points from being at home. I like Dave Aranda, the Helen Keller of coaches. He says nothing and just does stuff with his hands, and it works. I like Baylor in this game.
All right. Blaine, you like Baylor too?
No, I'm taking Oklahoma State in this game.
Yeah.
Give me Sanders.
On the
Davis
road,
good
huh?
for it.
Even
Yeah,
with Derek Mason, DC?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
even I don't care. You give up 1,000 points against Central Michigan. New week, new us.
yeah,
new week, new us. The thing about it is, like, Oklahoma State has one of the best D-line rooms in the nation. They're experienced guys. They have 2 really good ends who are NFL players. Spencer Sanders is going to be an NFL quarterback. So Shapen's good, but I want to see more from him. I mean, he you can tell, I think you said this later, you can tell he played baseball. But the defense is okay. It's still a random defense, but they do have some holes in the secondary. But I want to see more from Shapen pushing the ball down the field.
Well, I picked OK State to win the conference. I can't bail on them.
Yeah,
now.
you can't.
When they need me most?
Bail on them now. But the key to this game, quarterback run game. How
Yeah.
about that? Quarterback run.
Yep. All right. How about 1 minute each here on the next two? We got number 7 Kentucky at number 14 Ole Miss. We've been talking about this game a lot.
For Kentucky, how explosive can you be? That's my question for Kentucky. I know they got a solid defense. I know they're going to be able to run the ball, but Kentucky outlasts you. They out-clean you. Now, they didn't play clean on special teams against Florida. But in the second half, they let Florida just throw them the ball. I don't think Kentucky can score enough points outside of making a big play on special teams or a defensive touchdown. So to me, I think Kentucky's got to find a way to score a touchdown on defense or special teams. Okay. For Ole Miss, it's very similar to what I said about Clemson. If Ole Miss goes and just plays their game, I think they're good enough at home. They can score enough points where Kentucky's going to have to play catch-up and get out of their element. That will lead to Will Levis turnovers. So for Ole Miss, to me, it's playing clean. Ole Miss is still an unknown. We really don't know who they are after the schedule they play, but we're going to find out tomorrow.
Number 22, Wake Forest. At number 23, Florida State.
Yeah, Wake Forest, how do you get off the mat? This is a mindset thing. You put up an unbelievable offensive performance against a really good Clemson defense. Defensively, DJU torched you. When I look at kind of the makeup of this game, Florida State's hot right now. They're hot right now. They believe. They're Hansel at the Male Model Awards right now. Wake Forest needs to go in there and make a statement early. It's a mindset thing. You're going to know how Wake Forest, and look, I trust Sam Hartman and the leaders on that team and Dave Clawson, the identity that they have. You're going to know about this game about halfway through the first quarter, I think. And I hate to say that because typically that's not how it works out. But Wake Forest, after a tough loss at home, they still got, most of the things in front of them that they wanted to accomplish. I mean, hell, Wake Forest being relevant and ranked is impressive in its own right. But they've got to come out hot. They've got to come out early, and they've got to let Florida State know that Florida State's not just going to be able to line up and big boy them. Biggest thing for Florida State, how effective can Jordan Travis be in the run game coming off that injury?
Yeah.
He's a guy that has done a really good job, taking a huge jump from last year and when I've watched him, of not taking stupid chances outside of the pocket, being very efficient with the ball, throwing the check down, spinning it to the security blanket in the seam. So Jordan Travis making good decisions. Wake coming out. What is their mindset? Those are the keys of mine.
Do you think Jordan Travis will play this whole game?
I want to say yes. I think so. I hope he does.
Well, hell, Rodemaker came in and
yeah, I mean, their backup looked nice.
Yeah,
the backup looked nice too, but I hope he does. Jordan's like, Jordan, from a lot of quarterbacks this year, has taken just leaps and bounds in the pocket of just being comfortable. He's kind of said he wasn't a really vocal guy, but went through some offseason stuff to where he's a vocal leader of that team. For Florida State, you go to this game, and I think you just have to stay on schedule. Like, offensively, stay on schedule, 2nd and 5, 3rd and 3s. Because that's where I feel like Mike Norvell's at his best, playing calls and making it easy for Jordan to really dissect what he's seen in front of him. Not get too complicated. He's not really thinking, he's just reacting. And for Wake Forest, man, you just want to turn it into a shootout. If you're Wake Forest, every game that turns into a shootout, you're in. I'll never question Wake Forest offense with Sam Hartman there. The dude's an absolute stud. Their defense has always been a Wake Forest defense. They're mediocre at best. But stick to Sam Hartman. Let's get in a shootout. And if you do that, you always have a chance to win the game.
All right. Flaming Dragon, Booster Club before we get
Yes.
Chris Doering from the SEC Network up in Chia.
Kill a drone with another dono,
Kill a
guys.
drone.
He's coming
Kill
in
a
$5.
drone.
This man has got money, all right? He goes to, like, movie theaters, large Coke, large popcorn, probably get some candy, too. You probably just spend
New phone
$3,000.
case every 2 months
You
just
just
'cause
spend
the way it
$3,000.
looks.
The movie theater says the athlete should not be in control of their health. A warrior is going to fight. Someone has to take out the fighter. This is true.
Yeah, I agree with that. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to pretend to be one.
Let's go to Hunter Thorpe, $19.99 donation.
Wow.
Hey, guys, if y'all got into a Nashville SC game, I believe that means soccer. If not, y'all would love the atmosphere of an MLS game. And happy Flaming Dragon Friday. Happy Flaming
Dragon Friday to you,
Happy
sir. And
Flaming
we
Dragon
do
Friday to
need
you.
to
I
go.
want to go.
We do need to go.
Let's
I think
go.
I know where that's at.
Yeah, the stadium?
Yeah.
I know where that's
think
Where's
I
that
know
at?
where it's at? Where is that?
That's,
Where's that?
I know
at?
it's
I
at.
can't disclose.
Can't
I
disclose.
can't disclose.
Can't disclose.
Yeah, where's that at? All right, let's go to Texas Ed says, can we have an 80s weekend for NFL and have all teams wear those uniforms? What do y'all think about the unis back in the day for the NFL? Were you fans or?
Some of them. Some teams can go retro
I will
and it's
say
sick.
this: the old Buccaneers logo with the pirate with the sword in his mouth. I know they were terrible during that tenure, but I go back and look at those jerseys and I'm like, absolute fire.
And where did the orange go? Was it orange like a
Tennessee.
main? Huh?
They went to Tennessee.
Yeah, here we go with the red
Yeah.
and white. Wasn't orange the main color in the palette of the Buccaneers logo?
Somebody
now
said
it's like,
that-
nah, we're red and gray now.
Yeah, they're like just woke up and were like, I don't like this anymore. Or like somebody accidentally put the jerseys, in with something they shouldn't in the washer and they came out a different color.
I think Tom was like, listen, I'll leave New England.
Yeah.
I'll come down there, but no more orange.
You know what color?
No
You know
more
what color I want the team to be? Tom. It's a new color I invented.
Oh, now that's
It's a
some
mixture of black and white.
yeah, that's some blue steel type stuff right there.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Hanzo.
Not an Ambi Turner.
Okay, turn left.
No.
All right, Nola P says if NC State can hit some deep balls, they win unless Clemson plays better on the back end because they were pretty horrible last week against Wake Forest. Do have some injuries in the secondary. Had some guys who are questionable. That was kind of my thing. If NC State can hit deep shots,
Wake hit deep shots on us.
That's
Well,
what Wake
look,
does,
if
what they do.
NC State goes Steph Curry and they're hitting from far out, I mean, it's tough. But let's think about the situation. Here's where the transitive property can screw you up a little bit. Last weekend was last weekend. Not that you can't take things from that, okay? But those guys that were beat up last weekend, the guys that got experience are going to be back in there. It's going to be their next game. They are at home, which means the noise is going to favor them when they're on the side of the ball. Another thing is Wake Forest, Sam Hartman, okay? Devin Leary throws a beautiful ball. Sam Hartman puts balls in spots from an anticipatory standpoint that is next level if you really know what you're looking at. Because it's one thing to watch it on TV, see the ball go, oh, that's a good throw, it hit him right in the hands. It's another thing to really know what's going on and where that ball was put. I think Sam Hartman is a much better thrower than Devin Leary. But if you hit deep shots, I'm going to tell you when they're going to have to hit them. They're going to have to hit them on first downs. They're going to have to hit them on play actions. Because if they're going to get in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and 3rd and 9, NC State's offensive line isn't exactly stellar. Okay, you lost to Kwanu, big-time draft pick, hell of a player. He was your anchor last year at tackle. This isn't that offensive line. And Clemson's got some guys from the Stranger Things, from the upside down on that defensive line. Okay, what is it, the Demogorgon?
yeah,
That's what it's called? There's like, I know. I'm on fire this morning. It's
Well
Flaming Dragon
done,
Friday.
sir.
The Demogorgon.
They got 3 Demogorgons.
I was gonna say it right
Yeah, they
after
got
we know
three-
you know, Dave.
They got 3 Demogorgons, a Pokemon, and something they found in a mountain in Narnia on that defensive line. So if they're pinning their ears back and they're bringing pressure,
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to have time for those receivers to even make it downfield before they're ripping your arms and legs off like Mr. Potato Head, and we're having to put them in straitjackets.
I mean,
and
Clemson
send them
does
to
have some
Oscabon.
guys that look like they just got made in a volcano.
Yeah.
a volcano.
Yeah, literally. They pulled them out of a cave. All right, let's go to Ethan
Similar
Williams, hashtag Ask Crane & Co. Are y'all still taking Ben Shapiro to a game? And if so, what game? And
We're
Ben's
trying right now.
Ben's
We're
not coming.
We're trying right now.
Not a college guy.
We're trying right now. No, I'm going to get it done.
Okay.
It has to be a weekday game though.
Well, we'll see.
Saturday's a Sabbath.
I've been looking for scrolls. You know,
Should've
You've been trying to find a loophole.
maybe there's a
You've been
loophole.
looking
Elder
for
Scrolls?
I'm
loophole.
just saying,
2,500 years of
Look,
tradition.
I'm not a
and
theologist
Should
or a
take it to an App State
theologian
game.
or a Bible doctor,
What are the-
but I do know.
What are the odds on Jake finding a loophole in the Torah after 2,500 years?
Look,
Don't sleep on me. Don't sleep on
I
me.
wouldn't be
Hey,
surprised.
put $5 down. Because the odds, man, you might hit something.
Oh,
big.
those odds?
Yeah.
You're rich for a lot. You're rich for
I believe it.
kids rich.
I believe it. Yeah.
All right,
your
Killer
kids,
Drone.
Your children's children are rich.
Killer Jones, $5 donation.
Jeez, look.
Oh, man.
Killer, you're killing it right now. He says, not rich, just an LSU fan.
So you are
Yeah,
rich.
that means I'm irresponsible with money to support my team. Hashtag Daily Wire.
You love to see it.
Hey, enjoy that
G-Ox
great win
Tigers,
for y'all this week.
Yeah, enjoy
Congrats,
coming down to
guys.
Auburn and playing against the children we're going to put
Hey,
out there.
G-Ox Tigers.
Yeah, G-Ox
Tigers,
Tigers.
baby.
Reed Ricketts in the chat.
Oh,
Reed.
no.
Apparently they're talking about The Bachelor. That's cool.
Okay.
Ride High says, good Flaming Dragon morning, Booster Legends.
Yes.
Right,
for
good to
sure.
see you back in here. BZN Jen says, does Shapiro watch college football?
Not yet.
Mm-mm.
Not yet. Look, I'm going to get him immersed in it. We're going to go to a tailgate, all kosher tailgate. This will be the first one I set up, which is actually an unbelievably smart.
Yeah, can we get that written down somewhere?
Yeah, that's copyrighted. Y'all can't use that.
Yeah.
Kosher tailgate. I tell you,
like
I'm
it.
on one this morning.
You are,
I'll find a
man.
loophole in the Torah. Kosher tailgate.
Golly, I'm trailing you. I'm trailing.
Oregon trail me.
Bet buds. How about business buds?
That's
Let's
it. Well,
do
we
it.
already are.
Yeah.
Give me some right there.
Hey, whoa,
Yeah.
boom.
Justin Decker with a $5 donation.
Golly, wearing out the button.
Says, y'all smell that?
Smells like
Corn
money.
dogs in the chat.
Who?
Hashtag War Damn Eagle.
What dog?
Justin Decker says, do y'all smell that? Said corn dogs in the chat.
Corn
Hashtag
dogs.
War Eagle. War Damn Eagle. Excuse me.
Ooh.
Well done. Right High says, Blaine looks like he's about to go mix up some science to cure athlete's foot. I might.
Look,
Don't put it past me.
that's adding value to society.
That is.
Don't put it
that
past
is.
me at all.
Athlete's foot is the worst. They should call it something else. They should call it like this sucks foot. Or it hurt. It feels good. It hurts at the same time when I scratch it.
That's
Which that could
that's
fall under
longer.
a lot of. That
That's
could fall
longer.
under a lot of.
All right, Jeff Collinsworth, $5 donation.
I thought you were about to say
Jeff Collins in the
I'm about to
chat,
say, you got
man.
time,
Let's
dog.
go.
Yeah,
Come
you
on
got
the
all the
show.
time.
Jeff
in the world.
Collinsworth in $5 donation. Appreciate it, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Says JHG4YE. I don't know if that's a name. He says, is a referral code to get your Jeremy's Razor and Daily Wire Plus subscription. And if you want Flaming Dragon's picture on the most mid part of the McLaren, that would be dope.
That would be
Ooh.
super
That would
duper
be
dope.
so
Flaming
dope.
Dragon driving a literal dragon.
Okay.
Great job dropping the referral code, too. Very smart, Jeff Collinsworth.
Yeah, I'm doing what I can.
Related to Chris?
I'm doing well. All right, M. Hutton says, I'm 0-6. I highly recommend you all hashtag fade BJPS. Tonight, I'm taking the Pac-12 After Dark over and tried and true bet. However, I'm buying as many points as possible. Washington, UCLA, over 59.5.
We're going to talk about this. You want to talk about this for a second before
Talk
we
about
CD
it.
in here?
Talk about it.
Okay, this game tonight, y'all know I've been big on Washington
Yes.
since the offseason. Got them going 7-2 in the Pac-12. And guess what I found out the other day that I didn't know?
Tell me.
Little nuggets. Kalen DeBoer, head coach at Washington, was the head coach at Fresno State. You know where he was in 2019?
Germany,
Mm-mm.
Mars.
He was the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach at Indiana. You know who the quarterback was?
Really? With Michael Penix Jr.
Yes.
Michael Penix
hold on.
Jr.
Yes.
This all makes sense now. Hold on. DeBoer was the
Yes.
OC at Indiana.
Yes.
That makes sense now because Nick Sheridan was a coach on that staff and Mike Hart was a coach on that staff who I played with at Michigan. Nick takes the OC job last year when Penix is hurt. Unfortunately, they get let go. Now they've reunited in Washington. It's all starting to make sense. Take Washington.
Yeah,
connected,
they've
baby.
connected.
connected.
Show 'em, Blaine. How do you do that?
They've connected.
There you go, baby.
Right there.
There
Sounds
you
like
go.
a good connect.
Nothing like a Connect 4?
Connect 4? God.
Sometimes they have the grown-up.
You
one
gotta
where
pay
can
extra
put
for
them-
that.
Oh, the grown-up Connect?
Yeah.
You need to
Yeah.
calm down.
Are y'all having that at the
That's a
wedding?
backroom moment.
Is that the wedding?
No, we're not connecting.
You aren't connecting to the wedding? I thought me and you were going to connect to the wedding, Jay.
Anyway, so yeah, Washington.
Anyways.
Learn something new every day. Learn something new every day.
Apparently, every defensive tackle that plays for UCLA is out. I mean, they got some dudes starting this Swithouse.
Is that what is that for replacement?
For the longest yard.
The longest yard.
Switowski, he broke in my nose.
What a great actor.
But apparently UCLA's got like a Boy Scout leader and a 9-year-old playing defensive tackle tonight.
Hey, you don't assume their age, Jay. How dare you?
When you look at this matchup, the over, I can understand. why people are taking. I'm a little bit cognizant on that because UCLA really hasn't played anybody outside of my South Alabama Jaguars. That includes Colorado, and South Alabama should have beat.
You want to talk about You want to talk about a covered machine this year?
Oh,
The
yeah.
Jags?
Yeah.
It's a cover.
Kane Womack's like a warm blanket in the wintertime.
Come here.
He's a great
They've been eating that bluegill.
It's like
They're ready to go, man.
That'll help you cover real quick.
so
Shout out our
good.
friends at Bluegill. So when it comes to this game, I do like Washington in this. DTR does some good things. They're playing at UCLA, which, what does that mean? There'll be 7 more people at the game.
Yeah, it's like COVID year. There'll be no one in the
Yeah,
stands.
it's just every year's a COVID
They got
year
the propped
at home
up, the propped up
for
fans.
UCLA. Well,
robbing stores.
they're too busy. They've either got a show audition the next day, or they've got to go, to some stand in a tree to.
Well, it's sexist for fans to show up to games.
It is. It's very. That's very
disgusting.
true. But now UCLA again. I love Charbonnet. I do like some of the weapons they have
For sure.
defensively. Their secondary, is unproven in my eyes from what we've seen. Washington with Polk, McMillan, Giles Jackson. I mean, they've got weapons all around on the outside. Good enough run game. The offensive line's good enough. But the biggest key here, the tackles for UCLA are very untested as well. You've got a transfer in there from Rutgers, I believe, on one side, and then you've got another, unproven guy at the tackle. And Washington's really good on the edge. When you struggle in the interior of the defensive line, I think Washington's going to be able to run the ball against them just because of the triage 10th that is the defensive line for UCLA right now. And then you go on the other side of the ball, and they're better than you on the edge. That spells doom for a team that we don't know a lot about yet. I like Washington in this game for multiple reasons, but if you look at the matchups, it is very heavy to Washington. I don't know how much UCLA is going to score. I don't think UCLA is going to move the ball up and down the field against Washington. I think Washington's going to move the ball up and down the field against UCLA, especially if Penix can continue to stay healthy and stay on time. But speaking of staying healthy and staying on time, a guy that is healthy and is always on time is our good friend, Chris Doering from the SEC Network. We're previewing college football. The SEC was great to catch up with him yesterday. Let's go ahead and run that interview.
All right, everybody, as promised, one of our favorite guys to talk to when it comes to college football and other stuff too, and live stuff. We talk about more than just football, believe it or not. From the SEC Network, former Florida star, from walk-on, rags to riches, an unbelievable story, a Florida family, a guy that does an unbelievable job breaking down college football, our buddy, Chris Doering. CD, what's up, man?
What's up, guys? Good to be back with you. And you're right, Jake. I think the better show would be the off-camera show. The discussions outside of football. I'd be more interested
for that.
You would really have some people dive down and figure out some talk about all access. That'd be a totally different style. But CD, we're almost to the halfway point of college football. It makes me want to throw up saying that because it feels like it just got here.
Yeah.
And I know maybe it's a low-hanging fruit question, but since we hadn't talked in a while, I wanted to ask you: are there some kind of overriding themes that you're getting from this year? Has anything stood out to you from a headline, maybe from a story or narrative standpoint?
I think the headline to me is kind of what we suspected in the preseason, and that's how competitive this conference is. We're talking about the floor elevating with Vandy. I know everyone kind of celebrated going over the posted win total of 2.5 games before September was over with, so they've exceeded expectations, and I think they'll probably end up winning at least a conference game or two this season. But really the middle of the pack, the talent level in the middle, and even watching this last month of the season, I think every team in the SEC, including Georgia, when we saw that game against Kent State, is susceptible. If they don't play their best game, if they're not focused, if they don't have great attention to detail, if they don't protect the football, they could ultimately lose a game this year. So I really believe it's going to be difficult for any team in this conference to run the table. I know a lot of people project, including my guy, Peter Burns, who sometimes just says things, I'm not sure if he believes it or not, but said that Georgia wouldn't even have a single-digit game this year. It was funny because about 6 days after he said that, we're sitting there watching Kent State take Georgia to the fourth quarter. It's a 10-point game, and he's like, man, that could be out the window already. But I think it's a very competitive league with a lot of really talented. I think it's competitive because a lot of teams are talented, not because they're mediocre, which I think will play out as the season. It's already played out with the out-of-conference schedule to some degree, and the way it'll end up with the bowl season at the end of the year too.
Yeah, so if you had Georgia to cover and they didn't against Kent State, that was Peter Burns' fault. You can find him on Twitter and all social media. Yeah, please let him know. Blaine's mustached buddy, Peter Burns, over there. CD, I do want to take it back to your alma mater for a second because, it surprised me. There was a big win over Utah, and it shocked me though that the lack of quarterback design run game that we were seeing out of Billy Napier and Anthony Richardson, knowing the strengths of Anthony Richardson. Because to me, obviously, you're playing 11 on 11 against Tennessee. It looked like there were more design runs. I'm not talking about him keeping it on the zone read, but actually quarterback design runs, whether it be gap scheme, whether it be zone scheme, regardless of however you want to look at it. And to me, that seemed to not only help his wide receivers create a little separation, which we haven't seen really all year, but it brought some semblance of balance, and it looked like it made him comfortable. Did you kind of see the same thing?
Yeah, first and foremost, I was very shocked with how much man coverage Tennessee ended up playing.
Unbelievable.
I would never play Anthony Richardson
Never
or any
turn
other
your back
running
to that
quarterback.
guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's all vision coverage, so I was surprised by that. But, yeah, I think you're right, man, and who knows what the reason was. Maybe it was mandated from the coaching staff, given Jack Miller's injury and that there wasn't a whole lot of depth behind Anthony. Maybe it was just his hesitancy. A lot of people said he was banged up in that early hit against Kentucky. But whatever it was, he's better when he's not thinking. He's better when he's just playing and reacting. He's better when he's going back to his days as a middle school or high school player, just being the best athlete on the team. And you saw that in the game on Saturday, man. He made plays. And I was surprised his presence in the pocket, the way he slid in the pocket, the way that he stepped up with guys around him, the way that he scrambled to allow receivers to uncover. Those are the things that I like to see the most. And I thought the game plan, obviously, it was ultra aggressive with the desire to try to score as many points as possible, go for it 6 times on 4th down. But I also like the game plan of getting him outside the pocket. I think he's most dangerous when he's outside. You saw multiple bootlegs and rollouts where he can make some throws on the run where he's not thinking, and he also can put pressure on the defense with his ability to outflank, the contain, and be able to run. So I thought it was a great game plan. As I said on Saturday night, I don't celebrate – Florida doesn't celebrate moral victories, but I walked away from that game feeling even more encouraged than I had maybe after the Utah game in game number 1.
Yeah, well, as a defensive guy and as a guy that used to call plays on defense, nothing scares me more than when guys like Anthony Richardson or Jaden Daniels or a quarterback that is elusive like that, when the play breaks down, because that's typically when you see the big plays. It's not when they're diagnosing cover 2 from the pocket. It's not when they're going through progression. It's when they get outside, they start looking downfield. Anthony Richardson killed them on broken down plays because it's hard to cover guys for a long time, and it's more drawn up in the dirt, even though it's not really drawn up once the play breaks down. Got some good matchups this weekend. I mean, you look, Kentucky going to Ole Miss, A&M going to Mississippi State, LSU's going to play a team that's attempting to play football in Auburn, and then obviously Alabama and Arkansas. Which matchup, CD, are you looking forward to the most?
Well, I've been hyping up Kentucky all year. You guys know that. I've been on that Kentucky train for a while now. So, I'm excited about these two teams matching up. I feel like of all the teams in this conference, maybe we know the least about these two. At least with Kentucky, we can hang our hats on the Florida win here in the Swamp. But the Ole Miss schedule has not really given us much insight as to just how good the Rebels are. I know Kentucky's struggled in Oxford traditionally. In the last times they've gone there, they've lost. I don't know what that means in terms of this year's matchup, but I do think that people are undervaluing Kentucky right now. And, I know that Chris Rodriguez doesn't block for himself, but I know that he can run through arm tackles that have brought other Kentucky backs down. I know that he can help in pass protection, which has created pressure on Will Levis. So I like that game a lot because I think we'll find out a lot about those teams, and I'm still riding that Kentucky train. And then I think maybe the low-key best game of the weekend might be the A&M Mississippi State game. And I have no disrespect. I have nothing against A&M. I like Jimbo Fisher a lot. I like a lot of people there. I like their commitment to football, but I don't like watching their games very much. I don't like their offense. I mean, everything just looks so difficult for them, and there's no real rhythm or flow to it. I've never looked at a box score and seen more deceiving stats than what I saw at that Arkansas-Texas A&M game. I mean, I thought Arkansas dominated the game for the majority of the night, with the only real wins coming in the red zone, where Texas A&M's defense has been fantastic this year, and the turnover from KJ Jefferson. Fumbling that ball there, a 14-point swing. I truly believe if they go up 21-7, it's not only a ball game, but could turn into a rout. And I guess credit the defense, credit Minor Richardson for making a play there. And, they're surviving and advancing. I don't know how quality these wins are at the end of the day, but they're surviving.
Yeah, it was ugly. And you know what they say about trends? They only matter in fashion and Twitter, David Cohn.
Well, Chris, let's talk about Tennessee. The question of the week at SEC Media Days was, which team in the SEC is the third best? And everyone had a different answer. Blaine, you were big on Tennessee from the start.
Yes, sir.
Tennessee Volunteers are certainly making their case to be the third best team in the SEC. A big win over Florida. You've seen them up close and personal now. An impressive win on the road at Pitt. They're going to get the Bulldogs and the Crimson Tide this season, Chris. Can the Volunteers hang in either one of those games?
You know what? I think they can. I mean, they showed last year in Tuscaloosa that they can hang. And, you know, one of the trends that I'm looking at is the trend of Alabama going on the road. You know, we're going to see it this week against Arkansas. Again, I think that Vegas is overvaluing Alabama right now. If you look at the games that Bryce Young has started on the road over the last 2 years, with the exception of that Mississippi State game, the other ones have all been 3-point games. The other ones have all come down to the end. And really, it's been a lot of self-inflicted issues for Alabama. The penalties, the 15 penalties against Texas, double-digit penalties against Texas A&M last year when they lost, double-digit penalties against Auburn, 7 sacks that Auburn had of Bryce Young last year, the 6 sacks that Texas A&M had. Like, these are things that are concerning to me. I think Tennessee definitely has a chance against Alabama, and Georgia has shown themselves to be susceptible too. Like I look at that Georgia schedule, that streak of games from Florida and Jacksonville to Tennessee to Mississippi State to Kentucky. I'm not surprised if they lose one of those games. I've said it's going to be the November 19th game in Lexington with the cumulative effect of those previous 3 games coming into play. But I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee maybe got them or at least gave them a game.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, go ahead, Blaine.
Chris, I'd love to hear you say that. I did have Tennessee as my third best team in the SEC, which is clutch. But CD, I want to ask you something. It's kind of a program we really don't talk about enough on this show, I think. And that's the Missouri Tigers. All right. Coach Drink, you lose a game like that. You miss the field goal. You fumble the ball into the end zone. There's only a certain amount of things you can say to guys that really get them back going. And surprise, surprise, you go play Georgia next weekend. What do you say? What do you think as a head coach you would say to those guys just to kind of get them back ready, kind of to get them ready to go and to go play the best team in the nation?
Yeah, it's funny. And Jake, I'm sorry, but I feel I've come to like Brian Harsin, but I feel like he's going to a gunfight with like a toothbrush or something, man. It's just
you don't bring in anybody from the portal on the offensive line or at quarterback. It's 2022, dog. You know the weaknesses. Go make a move.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about that. They don't have the talent. I mean, it was embarrassing, the talent discrepancy between Penn State and Auburn. The lines of scrimmage, these are not Auburn type lines of scrimmages that I remember from my days as a kid or as a player. But, you know, I look at what were we talking about? Oh, Missouri.
That's exactly right, Chris. Exactly right.
Exactly.
I got distracted by this Auburn rant. But I look at Missouri, you know, they were down 14-0, man. They come roaring back and tie it up. The final 3 quarters, they played great defense. They made plays down the stretch to get into field goal range for Mevis at the end. They get the ball back at about their own 30. They go right down the field. They hit a big pass play down the sideline. They did everything they needed to do to win. Unfortunately, they did everything they needed to do to lose. Like, I've never seen a team try harder or do more things to lose a game than what they did. The missed field goal, the offsides on the field goal attempt. They gave Auburn another chance. The fumble going into the end zone. Like, these are all things that you can point to and say, look, guys, we're right there. We went into a hostile environment. We came down from 2 touchdowns. We battled to the end. We just didn't make the plays. And we've got to find a way to make those plays to secure a victory, because the margin for error is very small in the SEC.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know Georgia was head over heels a couple of weeks ago, especially when the season started, when they just drummed Oregon. You saw Kansas State score 22 points against them and some weaknesses. Is there a team? I know they go Kentucky on the road. I have them losing that game. What game do you think, if Georgia drops one, what game will it be?
It's the November 19th game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the cumulative effect of having to play those 4 games in a row. And I can tell you myself, from having played in the SEC, like, it catches up with you. Not only the physical beating, but the mental drain that it takes every single week to get up and play your best and have to refill the tank. So I honestly believe, could you imagine, like, both those teams being undefeated, having a chance to host that game with something on the line there in Lexington, what that environment will be like? I mean, last year we saw Florida and LSU, have to go to Lexington in back-to-back weekends, and maybe the two best environments of the year. I hope for the Kentucky fans that they get a chance to experience that. And I think sometimes being in close games like they were, I know from the score standpoint it looks a little closer, but Kentucky, they made some plays. They hung in there last year, and 2 years ago it was relatively close. Like being close sometimes is part of the progression to getting over the hurdle. So I think all of the confluence of events this year is going to give Kentucky an opportunity to upset Georgia. I feel that way. I said it when we were all in media days, and I'm gonna stick to it till I see otherwise.
Hey, you got to tell our buddy Takia Spikes, our good friend, that I don't see South Carolina beating Georgia. You never know. You never know.
You know what? Hey, Jake, we'll give him a pass. He hasn't been in this league the last few years. He's been out covering NFL football. I think, in all seriousness, it's funny to me to sit next to Benjamin Watson this year after being with him last year. Last year was his first year on the desk with us. It just takes a while to get up to speed with all the storylines and the names and the themes. So I think a year doing what we're doing this year, he won't be making those crazy predictions about South Carolina beating Georgia anymore.
Yeah, well, no, it's funny. We caught up with him at SEC Media Days, and we're talking about that. I think he's been a fantastic ad for you guys. I mean, he hit the ground running, had a great conversation with him at SEC Media Days, and he's definitely a guy I don't want to piss off, so probably don't tell him that, CD. I don't know if he's going to catch this episode. Cone, you got anything else?
Yeah. Hey, Chris, after 4 weeks of football, which non-SEC team has the best chance to win the national championship?
I don't watch non-SEC games.
That's why you might have the best perspective on it.
Good
honestly.
answer.
Yeah, it is funny though. Like the way we are consumed on Saturdays in the studio. I mean that 5-game window at night, 7 o'clock on. I mean, it's tough to watch all the games. We do have them on, and obviously I've been impressed with Ohio State. I mean, they look like they're pretty strong again at this point. I'm not buying the USC hype. Certainly, I think that was dispelled a little bit with that Oregon State close one the other night. But I don't. Clemson is overvalued right now. I think it until I see Michigan do it again. Maybe I'm a little skeptical of them as well. So I probably would go Ohio State on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. They have the cats that can run with them. But CD, speaking about running, guy that can run some pretty good routes as well. Appreciate you joining us, my friend. Need to get you back on here. I know it's the busiest time of year for both of us, but we're always very appreciative when you take some time out.
I thought you were going to say running at the bars, man. We can run there too, man.
Look. We're not talking about overtime yet. We're just talking about during regulation there, CD. We'll have an overtime one time. We'll tell people what's up.
That sounds good, man. Good to be with you guys. I love what y'all do, and continued success, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We'll talk about Blaine and all the dirty Shirleys he drinks at the bar. It's really cute. But no, we appreciate it, CD. Talk soon. Tell PB we said what's up.
I will. See you, Jake.
One of our favorites, Chris Doering, guy we've had on the show multiple times as we've continued to grow. And look, I think he's the Green Hog. There, I said it.
You think he's what?
I think Doering's the super.
See that commercial of the Green Hog?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Doering legitimately protects the city.
He's Jack.
He travels a lot.
Have lunch here for the Green Hog.
I haven't seen him around phone booths, but I'm sure it could get weird.
That guy who forgot to take off all his stuff and ordered lunch under the superhero's name. I don't want you saving me, man.
Yeah.
Or do you though?
No, I don't.
I'll put my life in my own hands before that guy.
Yeah, look, I trust the Green Hog. Speaking about trust, well, kind of. If you want to watch the rest of the show, remember you can listen to it here. Head over to the Daily Wire Plus. Become a member. Listen on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share it with your friends and your estranged relatives. It could be what brings you back together. We'll be right back with the Booster Club and more fun and friendship. All right, we love answering questions from not only the Booster Club, but the Booster Club members that send in questions to the mailbag, which is dwcranemailbag.com. Is that correct?
I think you're right.
I think I'm right.
I think you nailed that.
I think I was right, but it just felt wrong.
Yeah, you didn't say it again with confidence.
Is that right, though?
Yes.
Yeah. There it is. DW Crane Mailbag at dailywire.com.
There it is.
There he is.
Rolls off.
And Jerome sent one in.
Jerome.
You guys want to hear from Jerome? Hello, boys. Thank you for restoring my faith in sports shows, exclamation mark. Haven't missed a single episode, Saturday special, or Sunday morning show since coming to the Daily Wire.
Yo, Jerome,
Wow.
you're the baby.
Hall of Fame
Let's
status.
go.
Says Cohn, I've been a Michigan sports fan since the Fab 5 days. Also, bonus, my high school was St. John Golden Griffins has the same helmet as the Wolverine helmet buds. There we go. My question, Major League Baseball here, boys.
Okay.
Why does the MLB do all they can to shoot themselves in the foot while also spitting on MLB fans? They put Albert Pujols' record home runs on Apple TV. Not only were fans robbed of watching the game, but also robbed from their main guys calling the home run as well. Now, I was extremely hyped watching, but you have a guy calling who wasn't there from Albert's beginning, and having that moment taken away from St. Louis broadcasters is just depressing. Your thoughts?
I could not agree with Jerome more. How can you box in Aaron Judge every at-bat when he's trying to tie Roger Maris's home run record, but yet when Albert Pujols hits his 700th home run, you have to pay a troll under a bridge, know an angel, and beat up an old person to be able to watch it? Like, how? That's a huge moment in sports. The St. Louis broadcaster thing's a great point too. That's you took away a moment from those guys who were there with Pujols at the beginning, who have watched this guy. That it's just another thing that's starting to make me feel less and less sorry for Major League Baseball. I'm sorry. And look, I take it all the way to the top, right? It's Rob Manfred, the biggest clown, one of the biggest clowns in sports. And Robert, I would tell you that to your face. Come to Nashville, I would tell it to your face. You're a joke. The fact that you have this much money does nothing but piss me off. You guys continue to make horrible decisions, and I'm starting to not feel sorry for you. I'm really starting to lose all empathy for the sport of Major League Baseball because you're masochistic, man. You're masochistic. You keep beating yourself up and doing stupid things. It's Albert Pujols, arguably the greatest right-handed hitter of all time. Put it on normal human TV. I don't want to have to watch it on the back of an Elon Musk rocket ship. Put it on normal TV.
That would be
That would get eyeballs, though.
That would be done.
That would get eyeballs.
I'd watch.
Yeah, like 4 of them.
The rocket ship?
The people that I'm talking about, like inside the rocket ship.
Oh.
How big of a screen would you need to be to put it?
I mean,
Come on, guys.
they could do
I don't
it.
know.
They're
But
just
again,
landing it backwards with robots.
your ideas today, there's all sorts of business initiatives that are going to be
No,
started.
I still like the one you
I'm
brought
going
up
straight to
earlier.
Secretary of
The
State.
kosher tailgating tent.
We're
Come on
filing
now.
LLCs. There's going to be a lot of stuff.
Like I feel like it's real, and I don't want to make crazy correlations here, but it's real kind of CCP-ish.
Well, it's Yankee. It's
The
the
way-
Yankees.
the way we
when they bring in
put
Aaron
it
Judge,
Don't blame
it's
the
the Yankees.
for
But then the
this.
Cardinals
Don't
market.
blame the Yankees for this.
Yeah,
Not
Cardinals
the
market,
Yankees'
no.
fault. Not
Yeah.
our fault. That's
Yeah.
that dude's fault. Rob woke Manfred, who's the worst.
All right, one from our boy Max Shamgar. He said, "Sup, boys?
Oxnard?
Shamgar is back. I have been
Back.
away for like 2
I'm
months,
back,
just kind of
baby.
taking a break from all things news and social media, but I am making my way back, and I'm starting with Crane and Company.
Good
Love it.
decision.
Got a question for you all. What is the best in the Nashville area? I may be booking a road trip there soon in the near future, and I want some good Southern barbecue."
Martin's.
It's Martin's.
Martin's is solid.
It's Martin's. In the chat, though, if there's another place that we don't know, because we're still relatively new to Nashville.
I'm a worker.
We're in our
Jack's
rookie
fan.
season, about halfway through our rookie season, feeling it out, know where the locker room is, finding all the spots. Martin's Barbecue, though.
Woo, brisket, their
Top.
nachos, phenomenal. I mean, you can't go ribs, great. Great.
Can't go ribs?
You can't go wrong with ribs,
Okay.
excuse me. But the atmosphere is great. It's open up top. You know, they got a rooftop you can eat. You can go middle. You can go low.
I want to
live
find a place
bands.
that's got really great soul food. I'm talking about
Yeah, it's tough. to
old
find,
ladies
yeah.
in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some health code violations, but it makes the food taste better.
Look, if there's no health code violations, it's not as good as it should be.
That's exactly
I mean,
right.
It's like going to a
Do
Chinese
you really
place.
care?
You go to a Chinese place, you want old menu, like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want
yeah.
them-
I like,
want
you know
them
what I like
flicking
to
on
see?
and off.
I like to go in a restaurant and see, you know, like on the pictures where they grade 88. I like
Yeah.
a good B plus.
Oh,
You
you
walk
like the
in
B
there, see that? You see like
plus.
a little kid Chinese
Okay.
kid. reading
Hey,
in
if
the
it's an
corner.
A, I think you're spitting in it.
Here's what I like to do at the barbecue spots. You turn the car off, you get out, I close my eyes.
This sounds like another fantasy.
You
game.
do one of those right there.
And you got to
Is
count
the
how
smoke
many.
pit
yeah.
going? Is it wood fire?
I need to see smoke.
And then you know.
Yeah.
You just know.
There needs to be at least
smell,
one morbidly
just tell
obese
you,
person
say,
walking
How many
around.
trailers do they got in the parking lot?
Yeah.
You
It's this
know,
hole in the
like
wall
those type of
situation.
things,
Don't
for
let
sure.
that fool.
Somebody sitting in a lawn chair.
Yeah, where their overalls, someone wearing
Lawn chair.
overalls outside. You know, you
Yes.
can really tell about the barbecue place by the bread.
Yes.
Right? How quality? Like how good is the
cornbread
bread?
or the roll?
Well, yeah, but like,
I
I've
mean,
got no
cornbread,
problem
roll.
with some good old, just normal white bread.
And if there's a couple
It's not
rocking
a
chairs
racist joke
for
either.
sale out front,
Yeah, you're in the right
mean,
spot.
Yeah.
come
You're in the
on,
right
just-
spot. Get out of the car, kids.
I don't even need a
You would-
menu.
you
I don't
would-
need a menu.
Yeah.
I don't need a
Hey,
menu.
you would love this place called Cracker Barrel.
Cracker
would
Barrel. First of all, I love Cracker Barrel.
I knew you would.
Okay.
You're like the walking.
I can get full at Cracker Barrel.
Logo.
The whole family can eat at Cracker Barrel for like $27.
It is
all right?
good.
Last one from Evan. Last one from Evan to the Sultans of Sports. All right, I missed whatever you said, but you know what?
It wasn't
question.
about you,
No more
David.
questions.
Now, what about
It's
you?
not all about
What about you?
Now we've packed it in.
No,
No.
what about you, Dave?
I said,
What about you?
I said,
Dave?
you want some gravy?
What is going on? This guy's staring at me through this TV.
Yeah. Let's get to this mailbag and then let's
Okay.
look at
To
whatever.
Evan, the Sultans of Sports.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to
Thank
get
you.
at. Because that's, I mean,
That's high praise.
there are compliments and then there's that.
Yeah.
You know?
Like Aladdin's dad.
I like to break a mental sweat too. After I get done reading the dictionary, are there any great sports books I should check out? I don't care whether it's fiction or nonfiction. Hey, do we have yeah, get that book right there.
Get it right there.
Get that
This
book
is
because I
the
know we have one in the
perfect
studio.
Segue.
Look at that.
Look at that. Read the title, Blaine.
Just plug and
Say
bang
it
here.
so. Papa, Dad, and Me in the 2005 White Sox champion season. It is by Ben Shapiro and David Shapiro.
Look at
Our
that.
buddies and David Shapiro, one of my favorite guys to talk baseball about. That, if you want some elementary reading, Matt Christopher's wrote some really good sports books
Man.
as well.
Look,
The
I
Dirt
always
Bike
love
Kid,
what were those
Dirt Bike
books?
Kid?
Dirt Bike
You read a lot of
Kid,
baseball ones too, right?
baseball, football. Like it was crazy. Like I used to read them all the time. That you have to do like little book reports in school and like elementary school and like when you get in
Dude, I
middle
was doing
school.
the same thing on those books. The
You-
book
really?
report. We had to check them out, and what was it? A certain number.
The Dewey Decimal System.
You got
Which
a
I
certain
still
number
don't
of
understand.
points.
Oh yeah,
Like,
and you
what
got
was
to
that?
go to the yeah. So when I was in 4th grade, we did it where if you read a certain amount of books and you did a book report on it, there was like this party night.
The point system.
The point
And you got to
system,
be
yeah.
a part of the.
Like we had a mystery on the Orient Express. Like now that I kind of think about it, they had like a little like gambling station set up. I feel like it may have been
Wait,
2.
what?
Hey, they got you to read more.
Yeah, they
Mission
did.
accomplished.
Yeah.
They knew how to get Jake
And I
Crane
still
to
ga-
read
and
more.
I still gamble on
gambling
sports.
stations.
I still gamble on sports. So now I tell you a great documentary right now on Netflix, Facing Nolan.
You were telling me about that one.
So Nolan Ryan, I've been watching it. They said when they clocked Nolan Ryan with the technology they had back then, he was throwing 100.9 miles an hour. And this you can go look at this.
100.9.
100.9. They said in today's technology, he would have been clocked, wait for it, at 108.1 miles per hour. I have a very hard time believing that.
Like,
I'm not saying Nolan Ryan wasn't one of the hardest throwers of all time. He was.
Humans can't throw that hard.
He was. See, I don't believe that either.
I didn't know.
Like they said, like I don't know, like scientists, whatever. Like a human can't throw over 105 miles per hour, or his arm will like fall off.
Think of Ronald Chapman.
So does that mean if the technology keeps getting better and better in 20 years, that tech would say that I would have thrown like 150?
What if they take steroids?
Then yes.
Okay.
What makes
So
you
we just figured it out.
super strong? I mean, you come to another level. You defy the laws of humans.
You said humans can't do that.
Well, when you do steroids,
Human.
you're not human anymore. You're a human.
A human. You know that?
You get extra muscles in your arm.
a lot of weirdness.
Yeah.
It's not.
It seems like you need to be in one of these smiles.
Yeah,
That's
let's,
you, David.
Let's
That's
roll
you
this.
right
So
there with the
apparently,
beard.
what you said, this is for a scary.
I don't
movie or
know.
something.
I have no frame
David
of
knows
reference
it's
on
him.
this.
I'm gonna tell
I
you right
thought
now.
Blaine
I'm gonna
pulled
tell you right
this.
now. If I'm at a game and I'm sitting next to you and I have my family there and you're standing up staring like this, that there may have to be something said, or we may just make
don't
it
look
moving.
this creepy.
Don't look. Yeah, like
man.
what?
This look like you're in a sewer with a red balloon trying to get kids to go down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what part of Xerxes' army was this guy in? Let's go ahead and roll the clip. Look at this. Or it's a picture. Sorry. Yeah, just look at it. Just look at it. Would you look at that?
This is terrifying.
It is terrifying.
No!
Look at that.
Ew,
No.
no.
Gross.
Get out.
Kill it.
Gross. Instantly. Stop.
Not as bad.
It's a genius marketing idea. Obviously, it's
Brilliant.
working. We're talking about it.
No.
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 Oh, God, I'm more scared
Is this
of Al
has to do
Roker.
with that new movie, Smile?
Yeah, that's why I just looked. Smile's a new horror movie.
I can't wait
Yeah.
never to see
Look,
Yeah, I can't wait to not.
Bro-
we're
bro-
running out of stuff to make.
brilliant marketing, but you didn't get me because you got to get that off the screen.
Yeah, for
though.
sure.
Okay.
Talking about not
that.
human.
Security.
You are going to see this?
What?
I don't
Y'all got
watch
tickets
scary
for
movies,
tonight?
Dave.
I
You
wouldn't
watch
see it if I was
No.
in it.
Yeah, I don't watch.
I could be
If
the
you were
lead.
at the premiere,
I could be the lead, and I wouldn't go watch it.
I don't watch.
I wouldn't
series.
see
I don't
this
watch-
movie
why would
if
I pay
were
to get
behind
scared?
the camera filming it.
Why would I pay to get scared? I want to pay. I want to get paid to get captured.
After I saw Contact
I
with
want
like
paid to get excited, nervous, maybe. I'm not scared.
after I watched Contact
Scared
with
enough.
the fourth kind or the sixth.
You
kind
watched
or
Auburn
whatever
play?
it was. I've never been the same after watching that movie.
Which one?
It's like it's like
Conjuring?
some with the fourth kind or like. Sixth
Oh
kind
yeah,
or
you
something
did
like that.
freak out after
With that white owl in Alaska and aliens.
Yeah,
like,
that movie was
getting
that was
into
a weird
people's
movie.
head. Like it's based off a true story. I've never been the same after I watched that, so I don't watch scary movies.
Blaine says he was abducted by aliens, but we all know it's a lie.
You were abducted by aliens?
I don't like to talk about it.
He was.
I know
not
you don't like to
abducted
talk
by-
about it, but that's what's best for you. It's a therapy session now. Get it off your
think so.
chest.
They told me not to talk about it.
Oh, they told you the aliens or the psychiatrist?
Aliens.
Yeah, well, it sounds like maybe something else happened.
Well, if you notice about every
What,
10
David?
minutes,
What else?
Blaine's-
What else? Would
Yeah.
happen?
It sounds like
Look at that camera right there and say it.
It sounds like those weren't aliens.
Yeah.
Who were they?
It's like, well, who probed me? Yeah. We'll see. I'm headed over to the board.
Good God, we're gonna get canceled.
Wow,
Blaine's like,
dude.
best.
Our show just got canceled.
Yeah, we're gonna get canceled.
Look, a probe can mean a lot of things.
We know what you meant.
No,
Oh,
we
man.
don't.
Thank goodness it's Friday.
What is the
Yeah.
Booster
It's
Club say?
Friday, man.
I don't know. To be honest.
Get how to read again?
Let's go to Emmanuel C. with a $5 donation.
Oh, hi-oh.
Jake, having the Rolex blanket behind you in your streams is the ultimate power move. Hashtag Roflex.
It is.
Dude, I'm the Ric Flair of sports media, man.
There you go.
Ryan Gade.
I'm keeping these alligators down.
Ryan Gade, $10 donation. Says,
Thank you.
Mountaineer fan here.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on JT Daniels? Other West Virginia fans are saying Neil Brown is on the hot seat. What say you? And keys to victory to beat Texas.
Well, here's the thing with West Virginia. I want to say this about JT Daniels. I've never seen somebody that's better at dropping a snap, picking it up, and making a play. If you go back and watch JT Daniels, he would be the best at it. Y'all should probably do it every play.
JT's looked really good this year.
But no, yeah, JT's fine. The thing I think you've gotten from West Virginia is you haven't played complimentary football the whole year. I mean, even go back to the Pitt game. I mean, you watched the game, the West Virginia Virginia Tech game, and those just look like two bad football teams. West Virginia seems to not be able to get out of their own way. You can see the flashes of them playing well. Defensively, I just don't think they're very good, especially up front. But the key to beating Texas, Quinn Ewers looking like I'm assuming he's going to have a chance to play here very soon. He'll be coming back. He'll be a little bit rusty. The thing with Texas is the key to West Virginia is stopping the run. Bijan Robinson is what makes that offense go. You can say what you want about Sark, drawing up pass plays and combinations and things like that, but they lean on Bijan and adjust on him. So if you take away Bijan Robinson, you're going to make Texas dribble with their left a little bit. Not that Xavier Worthy's not a good player. Not that even Hudson Card, the backup QB who came in, isn't serviceable. But they are not nearly as efficient, and they don't stay ahead of the chains as much when Bijan is struggling. They try to get it to him in the pass game a little bit, especially if the run game's not hitting. So being able to shut him down obviously is big. On the offensive side, you've got to stay balanced. You can't just put it all on JT. JT's a really good quarterback, but West Virginia, I know it's a little bit of a different flavor with Neil Brown. The run game isn't as intricate. You're not getting as many speed sweeps and things like that, but I do think West Virginia's good enough up front. We saw him against Pitt be able to move the ball on the ground a little bit. You dictate the pace. You keep that Texas offense on the field. This needs to be a game that's probably a little bit ugly, honestly, for West Virginia to have a chance to win, but you also can't put the ball on the ground.
All right, we have a $5 donation from Alicia's Action Figure Frenzy.
Yeah.
MLB did the same thing to Ken Griffey Jr. when he hit number 600. They played every at-bat for A-Rod going for 600, but ignored Jr. when he got there.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Well, baseball, this is the same league that didn't give
markets,
Nolan
man.
Ryan. Nolan Ryan didn't win a Cy Young. Y'all gave it to Jim Palmer when oh boy wins 21 games, breaks Sandy Koufax strikeout record, those 2 no-hitters. What else you got to do? Shocking, but not really. All right, here's what we got tonight. Last day of the month. It's coming down to it. Baby Cone, 47-40. Blaine, 46-41. There's some unit plays going. I pretty much already decided I'm moving on to next month. I want to keep my 34-23 college football NFL betting record together. I'm not willing to risk that.
So you're giving up on this month.
I'm not giving up. I'm moving on.
You're moving on.
I'm moving on.
That's such a better way to put it.
Yeah, it
That's
is. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Moved on to next month. Yeah, there we go.
All right, Washington, -2.5. That's -125. Let's go. Michael Penix Jr., big Penix energy. Let's go Huskies, sick 'em. And then give me also Washington over 33.5 points, also at -125. Here's what we're betting on. Washington's going to play good, okay? That's what I'm betting on. I feel good about it. We talk about the DeBoer-Penix connection. Polk, McMillan, Giles Jackson, a defense that's good on the edge. UCLA, there'll be 12 people there. DTR turns the ball over too much. Charbonnet's nice, but nothing else really works that well because you haven't played anybody. South Alabama should have beat you, and I'm still low-key kind of pissed about that. Cone, what do you got?
I am not giving up on this month, all right? Big
You're not
unit
moving
play
on?
here, and I need both of them to hit. Braves, Mets, Braves, are you the champions of the world or not?
Oh, it's
are you the world champions? Because right now we need to figure it out, and we need to win the division. I need both of these to hit, Jake. You
Yes.
ready for this?
I'm ready
all right?
for it.
We got DeGrom and
Yes.
Freed on the mound.
Woo,
good
that's a
on
pitching
good.
matchup.
Ones versus ones.
Can I
Line
say
up on
something
the
real quick?
2-yard line and let's find out.
Can I say something real quick? Max Fried, it's time you show up, man.
Let's go.
It's time you show up.
Tonight's the night.
Big games. You've kind of messed around a little bit lately. Show up. You're facing the witch that is Jacob
Hurricane
DeGrom.
Ian. How about Hurricane Max? Let's go. I
Yeah.
need a first five tie plus the Braves win. That's at plus 700.
Need it.
And then the Braves under 2.5 runs, but they still win the ball game at plus 850. Two different same game parlays. I need them both to hit. Don't let the Braves win 1-0 in the bottom of the ninth, Jake.
That would
Don't
be,
let
I
the
mean,
Braves win 1-0 in the bottom of the
That's a
ninth.
1550 unit jump. That gets you right in contention. Blainasium.
All right, coming down to it. All right, coming down. Wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest. I wish you had one more day, a nice 6-game slate on a Saturday would be nice. But hey, give me Washington -2.5. I'm going two separate parlays here. Now you probably couldn't fit them on the board. Washington -2.5, the under of 42.5 in the San Diego State-Boise State game, and the over of 50.5 in the Houston-Tulane game. That will be going off at plus 340. Okay, and then let's go to the second parlay. Give me the over in the 43.5 for the New Mexico UNLV game. Give me New Mexico plus 14.5, and then give me the under in the first half in the UTSA Middle Tennessee State game, and that is going off at plus 550.
Okay.
Wow, baby Cone. We're going to fight it out. He wants Washington plus 3. He's going alternate line. He's playing it safe. -190. Don't blame him here. Tulane plus 6.5 at -180. I think the strategy's pretty good by him. He is in the lead. He's going to make us make a play. Sometimes you got to hit a half-court shot to win.
Braves 1-0, bottom of the ninth.
Sometimes you got to hit a half-court shot. Real quick, Tall Riot, 10-0. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Already been there,
Tall
done
Riot.
that. Been there, done that. Cam Fran, C-Step 04, the Red Aaron, they're all 2-0. EJ Runis, Sammy V, Ulrich Sharber, Private Chonky, it's me, Emmanuel C. Katie Rose, 1191. They're all 1-0. Make sure you get your bets in. Make sure you like and subscribe as well. Parting thoughts real quick.
Poll.
All right, guys. Should Tua have played last night?
No.
81%.
81%.
Ooh, that's fine. No, 82%.
No. 84.
Are you kidding me?
But I
Yes.
almost went under.
16%.
Almost went under.
Jake hits the under today for Blaine.
Yes.
Blaine, he finished
Yes.
at 3.
I told you, shun the
He finished at
non-believers.
3, exactly.
Shun the non-believers. Vegas always knows. Don't ever forget it. And you know, make sure you like, subscribe this video, subscribe to our channel. Check us out on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Face Chat, Facebook, all that stuff.
Faceback.
I did Faceback. It's a new app.
Yeah.
By the way, I started a Facebook group. Just go to Facebook. It's Crane and Company Sports Group. I try to keep it as general as possible, and I think I achieved that. But we appreciate you guys joining us. Appreciate all the donations. Most importantly, appreciate you watching. Got a Saturday special tomorrow, Mike Golick Jr., and then don't forget to watch the Sunday recap and our NFL preview. I will be doing it live from Tuscaloosa on the day of the biggest wedding shower. Well, second biggest. Cones was absolutely fire. Second biggest wedding shower. So check it out. It's going to be fun. We'll catch y'all tomorrow. And like the chances of there being more than 5 runs scored in tonight's Braves-Mets game, we're going.